I have an issue. I don't sit still very long. And
That's great.
in photographs, like when I'm in photos, there was like movement all the time.
Yeah.
And so I
Well,
don't
on
know.
our show, we call it the daguerreotype show. So for about 20 minutes, you just have to do this. Is that okay?
Did the timer start? Did the timer? It's a delight to see you both. It really is.
Oh, oh,
I
igualmente.
Yeah, see.
because no, but seriously, I was really impressed with that little social gathering that we were at back on the 21st of January, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes.
I,
Well,
yeah,
so, and so what brought you to that? I mean, so just so our audience knows, we were talking about edge science.
mm-hmm.
And what, I mean, just if you could tell us a little bit, like if I were to introduce you more formally, what would I say? Would I say anything different than what I said in terms of what your
No.
background is or what your work is, or was that correct?
So I don't know what you said exactly. Did I miss what you said about me?
I
That my
said that
name?
this is your name and that you're
That's it.
very into the feminine face of God.
I'm into a lot of things, and yes, so what brought me? Francisco and Ana are very, very dear friends of mine. I've known I I encountered Francisco in the early 2000s in Madrid as a result of sort of a network of people, but I reacquainted myself with him in 2010 in Boston. I was up in New England for a meeting, and he happened to be there, and uh, Francisco and Ana and I share a lot of interests in what we would describe as perhaps the esoteric. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And I've had some experiences with what they refer to now as the phenomena in my own personal life, and some of those things I've shared with them,
Yeah.
and that they were very compelling
Let's, for
testimonies.
our listeners, we're talking about unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Anomalous phenomena,
Yeah.
exactly, and what they're calling now NHI, non-human intelligence, which
Right.
is really fascinating. You
Right.
know, the
And have
words
had you
we
experience with that?
yes, I have.
Yeah,
Yes, I
so
have.
I don't like that phraseology because like whales are not human intelligence.
And they
And
may be even more intelligent than us, actually, when it comes down to it.
exactly. And so it's sort of like, what do we really mean?
Yeah, what do we really mean?
Yeah.
Because so I I have a feeling. A lot of times I tell people, I don't care what you think. Tell me what you feel.
Hmm.
Okay. I have a feeling that NHI, non human intelligence, is too generic of a term because we experience that for those people who are religious, who are spiritual,
Yeah.
as well as people who run into what we used to call UFOs or have these peculiar experiences. Yeah, they are non human for all intents and purposes. However, I learned something very interesting. And I don't know if this is factual, but I heard from somebody that some of the non human intelligences might actually be time travelers. And that's your wheelhouse, kid. That is you. Time
Chica.
travel. Yeah, Chica. That's your wheelhouse,
Yeah,
Julia.
yeah,
Julia.
no. Yeah.
So so is it
So,
Julia down by the schoolyard? That song. Do you remember that?
Julio,
Me and
Julio. Yeah,
Julio.
so
Be it
Julio.
But
Julio.
yeah,
But
so
Julio.
the best song for Julia that I can just tell you, there's multiple Julia songs. One's by Eurythmics. It's from the 1984 soundtracks. One is by the Beatles on the White Album. I don't like either of those. The best one is Robert Palmer's Hey Hey Julia.
Robert Palmer.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'll put that on
that
the Pandas playlist. Yeah.
that's fantastic. So I've
But
never been in. Go ahead.
oh, I'm just before because I know that your mind then you combined your mind with our minds and the conversation is going to be like this. But I want to track on some things that I know our listeners will be interested in us
Is
tracking
that
Every
on.
called
once in a
field
while,
propagation?
every once in a while, I'll come in here and pull a thread.
Yeah, Carmen
I'll
will be
just,
like, "What about this?" But I want to go. I want to
okay.
like drill down on this NHI thing, whatever you call them. I think that in general, UAP people are thinking of them as aliens, even though they might not be extraterrestrial. They might be extratemporal, like Masters talks about, right?
Yes,
Or they might be extra dimensional. But they're sort of not on the planet right here, right now with us. But they sort of are. I mean, it's very confusing. And
it is.
I'm curious what your experience has, if you've had any like direct experience with that.
Yes, absolutely. But something I wanted to say was, I believe Hal Puthoff refers to them also as possibly ultra-dimensional,
Yeah.
ultra
Yes.
terrestrial. Pardon me,
Yes.
ultra terrestrial.
Right.
This
Right. So
is
they could be right here, but they have been here like even before we were, and et cetera.
Before we get into that, or how we get into that, I always question everything. I have a sign on the door out here that says "Why not?" It's written in symbols, but anyway, why not? I ask constantly why, and I also, and I don't mean to sound like a skeptic, but I always try and maybe you know this, Carmen. Is it counterintelligence? I try to take the opposite side. I try to play the devil's
No,
advocate.
usually they call that usually call it like red teaming when you
Yeah, red teaming.
or devil's advocate on purpose take and make the best case for the other side.
That may lead into something I shared with you, chicas,
Gal
at
is
Francis.
okay. Gal is
Yeah,
okay.
I don't want you to have like an adverse reaction to speaking. So you should do what you want.
Exactly.
yeah, uh, hey, like I said, last week I was on a podcast with Hal Puthoff and Diana Pasulka and Anna. And
Oh yeah, this is a NASA podcast. She told me about that.
yeah, well,
We can link to it when that comes out on this. We'll
yeah,
link to
well,
it.
I don't know if it's going to come out because I'll tell you what, I talk about performance anxiety, and I had no idea going in there. But anyway, the most interesting part of the conversation on my behalf, I think, occurred in the green room after after it ended, because, but hey, it's all wonderful. That's why I liked what you chicas, you gals do. It's sort of go with the flow,
Yeah,
and that I get. So
exactly. And the flow is like surfing.